Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in. Just confirming that the stream is operational. It appears to be. Checking the volume. Check, check, 1, 2.
Hello,
check.
hello,
Everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in. All right. Sound is good. So let us begin. In the course of this stream, which will be, let's see, it is currently July 28th, 2026 at 9:30 in the morning. This stream will be the demonstration of copywork of using Gregg Anniversary Shorthand, and the text that will be copied is How to Take Smart Notes by Sonke Ahrens. And you may ask yourself, why would you be using something as old and as outdated as shorthand in something as more modern or up to date as the concept of smart notes, or using the idea of linked notes? The reason for this is because every domain, whether that is the trades, whether that is military, whether that is academics, every trade has its particular core set of skills, and it has the particular patterns that must be trained in order to be most effective and most concretely forward-thinking in your domain. This means that let's say, for instance, if you're a soldier, then you are going to spend significant time training in the areas that are going to help you in the battlefield. Hopefully, you never have to actually use your weapon. That's the goal, correct? But you do train as if you needed to use it every single day. You make it so second nature. And if you are working as a paramedic, if you're working as a firefighter, you will have core skills that you learn, and you can apply them anywhere and everywhere. They are second nature. You don't have to think about them. The skills that I'm demonstrating in this live stream right now are of a similar nature. They are skills that should become second. They should become second to breathing. They should be so ingrained that if you need to use them, you can use them without second thought. So this is something like shorthand. Now, obviously, shorthand, I'm not saying it's the be-all and the end-all of your academics. You're not going to be helped completely in your academic career by learning shorthand. However, what it does do is it trains you to be very quick and very agile in being able to take in information, whole phrases at a time, learning how to truncate, how to compress information, and generally become more agile and facile in that domain. And then you take something like smart notes. Smart notes should become second nature. They should be so ingrained as a procedure that when you are encountering any sort of information, you are automatically thinking to yourself, what's the best way for me to turn this into a fleeting note at the moment? When will I make time later in the day in order to convert this note into a more permanent note, whether that's a literature note, a reference note, and so on and so forth? And then how am I going to update and use my notes later in the future? Okay? And then the third domain, which ties to the it ties to the shorthand aspect. The third domain is the domain of mnemonics itself, the domain of memory. How best can I train my memory in order to most effectively and accurately work with and portray knowledge? How can I develop, synthesize, and be insightful with ideas? These three domains, the domain of writing, the domain of note-taking, and the domain of memory training, are all core. They're core tools that belong in anyone's toolkit who purports to be involved in academia, who purports to be someone who uses their mind. And so therefore, this stream is such a training. It's such a training presentation, really. I do not claim to be any sort of master, not even barely a novice in these skills, but I consider them worthy enough to demonstrate the process of acquiring them and becoming agile, becoming that individual who is able to use the skills at a moment's notice without second thought. With that being said, let me go ahead and proceed. And if you are interested in purchasing a copy of the book, How to Take Smart Notes by Sonke Ahrens, I would highly recommend it, and it is linked below in an Amazon affiliate link. If you click on that, then it gives me a very small percentage, and it helps to show that you support this type of content. I'm taking the notes on a Wacom tablet, a Wacom Intuos Small. And that also is linked below in case you're interested. It's a nice handy tool if you're wanting to take digital notes, but you want the ability to do handwriting as well. There are some links to the website that I use for doing my word lookup. That's also on there. The software that I use is Zernal++. It is a free and open source note-taking software suite, if you will. Well, it's more of an application. It's a local application, and it is an excellent PDF annotator. You have the ability to create your own backgrounds, to import your own templates. It has it's a wonderful domain in which to do any sort of scholastic activity where you want the benefits of the handwritten method, but in the digital domain. Let's see. That is pretty much it. If you're interested in supporting me directly, then I have my Ko-fi link and also my Patreon link down below. So if you're interested and you enjoy this sort of content, then please consider taking a look at it. And without further ado, let us begin the slow and grueling process of drilling to completion and to success. As Sonke Ahrens puts it, the feedback loops, whether positive or negative, are absolutely essential to the learning process, and that's what this stream is one giant feedback loop. So thank you very much for your attention, and let us begin. I'm currently on page number 68 of Sonke Ahrens' book, How to Take Smart Notes, and I've just finished the short note here where it was referencing Dr. Gawande, a source of his, and so we'll scroll through, find that section. We had actually finished there. We were looking at system. System was our last sentence, so I'm looking for that. The second step, looking for at the time. The third option. Looking here. Yeah, okay. So we had just finished. We're on the last paragraph of page 68 going into page 69. So let me proceed. All this enables us to later pick up a task. It's enough to start with. All this enables us to later pick up a task. Enables us to pick up a task exactly where we stopped. Exactly where we stopped without the need to keep in mind. To pick up a task exactly where we stopped. And exactly is exactly, like so. Let's confirm that that is the case. And that is exactly. Very good. Very, very good. Let's go ahead and move this to the top. And there is exactly. So let's go ahead and continue. Where we stopped without the need. Where we stopped. Where we stopped without the need to, quote, keep in mind, to keep in mind that there still was something to do, that there still was something to do. That is one of the main advantages of thinking in writing. That is one of the main advantages. An advantage is advantage, I believe. Let me take a look at that. Yes, a slight difference. It's vantage, avant. Avant or AV is advantage. That is one of the main advantages of thinking in writing. Hyphen. Thinking is externalized. Everything is externalized anyway. Everything is externalized anyway. Anyway. And that's the end of the paragraph. So let's go ahead. All this enables us to later pick up a task exactly. So we take a look at that right here. All this enables us to pick up a task. Pick up a task exactly where we stopped without the need to keep in mind that there still was something to do. That is one of the main advantages of thinking in writing. Everything is externalized anyway. Next paragraph. Conversely, we could use the Zeigarnik effect. So conversely, I believe, is just the E on the end. So there's converse, and then conversely, it does require the extra E after it's attached after the fact. So we go conversely, comma. We can use the Zeigarnik effect. We can use the Zeigarnik effect. Zeigarnik effect to our advantage by deliberately keeping unanswered questions in our mind. To our advantage by deliberately, now deliberate, because deliberability. Let's go ahead and confirm, because I know deliberate, and so deliberately might just be an E attached to it. And that's exactly what it is. So we take the D, add the L, and then B, and then an E on the end. Keeping unanswered questions in our mind, deliberately, by deliberately keeping and then unanswered. So we wrap this around. Unanswered questions in our mind. Plural. We can ruminate about them. So we'll go ahead and add that below. We can, and then ruminate is our, I'm going to take a stab at it, and then we'll see in the dictionary what it's supposed to be. So ruminate, this is going to be ru is the first portion. Ruminate is my guess, and let's now confirm. That's exactly what it is, ruminate. And where was that? We can ruminate about them, even when we do something that has nothing to do with work. Even when we do something that has nothing to do with work, and ideally does not require our full attention. And ideally, let's check. Ideally might have the two circles, but it could also be a single circle, so we'll check. Ideally. Ideally, so it doesn't use idea, it actually requires ideal. That ideally does not require our full attention. Does not require our full is just the F stroke, our full attention. Let's go back and reread the paragraph. Find our marker, if I remember to put it in. We're looking for conversely. There it is. There's our marker. So we have conversely, we can use the Zeigarnik effect to our advantage by, go ahead and zoom out just a hair so we can read the whole thing. Advantage by deliberately keeping, and by deliberately keeping, so this requires the plural, a little bit larger, deliberately keeping unanswered. Is going to, because that's nanswered. Let me go ahead and check in the dictionary to see if unanswered has a unanswerable. So there's unanswerable, and so therefore using that paradigm, they do not have a U hook at the beginning, they have just an in, and that is enough information in order to keep the stroke from being ambiguous. So here we go. Unanswered questions in our minds. We can ruminate about them even when even when we do something. So I need to change that. That's not you. Needs to be a we. Even when we do something that has nothing to do with work, and ideally does not require or fill or our full attention. Next paragraph. Letting thoughts linger. Letting thoughts linger. Let me check linger. That doesn't quite look right. I think linger might just have the R on the end of the G stroke. And it does. Linger, no need for the G. We just go linger, like that. Okay? Without focusing on them. Without focusing on them. Without focusing on them gives our brains the opportunity to deal with problems. Gives our brains the opportunity to deal with problems, to deal with problems in a different, often surprisingly productive way. In a different, often surprising, then surprisingly, you simply put a circle on the end. And let me confirm that that is the case. Surprise. Yep, and then ingly, we'll check that out. Ingly. And you can see that that is done with a circle. So we'll just add the little S stroke below. And let's go ahead and make this a little clearer. Surprisingly, there we go. In a surprisingly productive way. Productive way. While we have a walk, or a shower, or clean the house. While we have a walk, or a shower. Now a shower is going to be sha, and then oo, so we would need, trying to think of the way that we essentially need to make this shape like that. So therefore, if we go in the opposite direction, that should be shower, but we'll check. That's exactly what it is. We take a shower, or clean the house, or clean the house. Check the S on the house. Ah, that's right. House is just us with an H over the top. Clean the house, comma. The brain cannot help but play around with the last unsolved problem. Add a second page. This is page 10. How to take smart notes. Still section 9, page 10. Okay, continuing. The brain cannot help but play around with the last unsolved problem. The brain cannot. Hello, hello. The brain cannot help the brain cannot help but play around with the last unsolved problem. There's about a 10-second delay from me seeing your question deleted, but this right here is showing it's an interleaving process of multidisciplinary training. So essentially, this is the mental equivalent of watching someone do a gym workout. I'm currently studying the book How to Take Smart Notes by Sonke Ahrens. The link's down below in the video. And at the same time that I'm reading the book, I'm copying the text down using a shorthand technology called Gregg Anniversary Shorthand, where it's a phonetic transcription of the text. And at the same time I'm doing that, I'm also practicing my presentation skills by streaming the whole process. So if you like to see someone suffer through workout regimens, that's essentially what this is. So you're welcome to stick around. If not, it was nice knowing you, and thank you for your time. The brain cannot help but play around with the last unsolved problem. Cannot help but play around with the last unsolved problem. So that's and that the S is going to have to curve this way. Solved problem. Let me check and see if that is solved. Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. All right, so we're going to do the whole thing. So we need to do and then curve this around, S, L, and V, and then the D below. Unsolved problem. It came across. It came across. Let me check and see if across is just KRS or across. It does require the A vowel at the beginning. All right. Period. And that is why we so often find the answer to a question in rather casual situations. And that is why we so often, and that is why so often we, and that is why we, and that is why we so often find the answer to, oh, I'm not sure. It's possible that it was one of the hashtags, because I tried to put in any sort of hashtag that is associated with this paradigm. So not sure why it was recommended, but we'll just chalk it up to the insanity of the YouTube algorithm gods. I don't know. I'm insane enough to continue this myself, so, maybe the gods are just looking down on me and laughing. All right, so we have, and this is why we so often find the question or the answer to a question in rather casual situations. In rather casual, so casual. Let's take a look and see if that is correct. Casual. Okay, so it needs a U hook. I know. YouTube is crazy these days. You really don't know. You don't know what's happening anymore, I tell you. I'll see channels I've never heard of before, videos coming up from like 12, 14 years ago, and it's insane. Like, who's running this show? I think Cthulhu has finally taken over, Nyarlathotep has really come into his own. By taking into and then account, this is going to be AKNT, might require the diphthong, account. Take a look, account. Okay, so it's just AKT. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Deleted. Really appreciate it. And good luck with any of your endeavors in life. Account, by taking into account these little insights, these little insights into how our brains work. Into how our brains work. Comma. we can make sure that we will not get distracted by thoughts. We can make sure that we will not get distracted, that we will not get distracted by thoughts of what we need, by thoughts of what we need from the supermarket when we sit at the desk. From the, and now supermarket, that's one I haven't done before. Super is going to be a prefix, and then market is below, and market is just what is that blasted thing? It's MT, I believe. Well, let me check. Supermarket. No, of course, it's not in there. So I'll need to add that to the dictionary. Okay, so there's supermarket. And so what I need to do is I need to figure out how to derive the value from other words. These are called analogous word endings. So I have to do super. All right, so yes, super is it's called a disjointed stroke, which is the S stroke over the top. And now from there, I then combine the two. So I go super and then I add market. So I find market, haven't had to do that one too much, and it's MR. MR is market. It's called a brief form, where you have the abbreviated phonetic transcription for a word that is often used. And back in the day, Gregg Shorthand was used almost exclusively for business and also for law. And so therefore, things like market, futures, shares, company, those sorts of words were commonly used and very, very, very prevalent, so you had to write them quickly. Okay, so that's supermarket, and I'm going to add that later. When we sit at the desk. When we sit at the desk. Like so. End of sentence. Rather, we may solve a crucial problem while we run errands. Rather, we may solve, blast it. Let's do this again. Solve, there we go. A crucial problem. Cruche. I believe that's crucial. I don't think it requires the L. Let's check. Crucial. That's correct. Does not require in fact, it doesn't even require the U. It doesn't require the U stroke. It's just the SH. So we go KRSH for crucial. Okay. Crucial problem. And then problem, PRBL. While we run errands. While we run, that's not run, that would be rush. Run errands. Errand is going to be ERND and then S at the end. All right, that's the end of the paragraph. So now let's go ahead and read it in context. We go back to the paragraph marker, which is, hopefully I remembered to put it in this time. Where are you, buddy? Where are you? Oh, blast it. Come on. I'm looking by taking. I'm looking for the word by taking. By taking. Yeah, and of course, genius that I am, I forgot the paragraph marker. So let's go ahead and put it right here. There's by. Now let's go ahead and begin. We use the highlighter here. By taking into account these little nights? No, that's not. Insights. That's right. These little insights into how, and I need to do the H for how, into how our brains work, we can make sure is it SU or is it SO? Let me check. We can make, yep, that's it, sure. We can make sure that we will not get distracted by thoughts of what we need from the supermarket when we sit at our desk. Rather, we may solve a crucial problem while we run errands. Next paragraph. Actually, that's the end. Well, beautiful. So that's the end of section 5, and so now we're in section 6. And just to put this in context, these were the 6 steps to successful writing. If we look back over the titles of the sections, the first one was give each task your undivided attention. The second one was multitasking is not a good idea. 3 was give each task the right kind of attention. 4 was become an expert instead of a planner. That was an excellent section. Number 5 was get closure. That's the one we just finished. And now we're beginning on section 6, which is reduce the number of decisions. Reduce the number of decisions. Another excellent point. Like I've said already, and for fear of repeating myself, but I don't care, Sonke Ahrens' book is well worth looking into, even just as a primer for the proper way to understand the academic writing process. Any sort of essays or even things like script writing for YouTube videos, anything like that would benefit highly from his approach. So this particular section, 9.6, is reduce the number of decisions. Reduce the number of decisions. So that one is going to be reduce the number of decisions. Like so. Next paragraph marker. And here's the beginning of the section. Next to the attention that can only be directed at one thing at a time. Next to the attention that can only be directed. Directed. This is Directed, I think it's just DR. Let me check. I know that's drive, but I think that might also be directed or director. DRK, and so direct, that's right. Directed is DRK, and then underscore. Directed. Next to the attention that can only be directed at one thing at a time, and next to the attention is, did I do that? Yes, next to the attention that can only be directed at one thing at a time, and the short-term memory that can only hold up to 7 things at once, that can only hold up to 7 things at once, comma. The third limited resource is motivation or willpower. Oh boy, isn't that true? The third limited resource is motivation or willpower. The third limited resource. And then source. Something like that. Let me check. I always get resource is another one of those words that has a brief form and it does not require the E stroke. So it's just RSOS. RSOS. Resource is motivation or willpower. Is motivation, is it a motivation? Motivation, I believe, is the stroke for that, but we'll go ahead and check. Motivation. Ah, so this one uses, it does a TV. It's called a TIV, or blended consonant. So we go motivation, like so. Or willpower. Or willpower. End of sentence. Here too, the environmental design of our workflow. Here too, the environmental. So environ is the shorthand for that. So environmental. That is way too, that is obscenely long. I'm sure it's much shorter. Environmental. There's environment. Okay, well, I mean, it is still kind of long, but environment, and then you just add an L to that. So it's a long word outline for a long word. Okay, here we go. So this is environmental, like so. That is environmental. Here too, the environmental design of our workflow. And we go design. So this is design. Does not look right. Let me go ahead and check though. That's right. The S has to curve around. S has to curve around. So we go design of our workflow. There's workflow. Makes all the difference. Makes all the difference. It shouldn't come as a surprise anymore. It shouldn't come as a surprise anymore. That a close cooperation with the slipbox, that close and then cooperation. Cooperation is a, that's like corporation. Cooperation. There is a brief form in there somewhere, and I'm trying to think of it. Corporation. That's probably what it is. So if I go like so. If I go corporation, let's go ahead and see if that is correct. We go co-op, or there's cooperate. Okay, it's even shorter. Wow. All right. I was thinking I was smart by shortening it, and they shortened it even more. So co-op, it requires a double O, co-op, and then that is cooperation. Okay? Very nice. Cooperation. Close cooperation with the slip box. with the slip box. So with the slip box turns out to be far superior, turns out to be far, and then superior. Oh, this is super R, I believe. If we go super and then R, that should be superior. Let's go ahead and check that. Beautiful. Hey, hey, look at me. Look at me. I'm brilliant. All right, so, but I'm not too brilliant because I have the S pointing in the wrong direction. So there is superior. So we have is far superior to any sophisticated planning. To any, and then sophisticated. This is going to be sophisticate. I know that is a sophisticate. Let's see that. Sophisticate. Ah, yes. That is a different. Sophisticate. Sophis is the soph, and then sticate. Sticate. I need to remember that sticate ending because that appears in other places. Like, what's the other one? Oh, it'll come to me later. But we have so, and then sticate. So this one is sophisticate, and then cated. Tated. You know what? I'm going to change that in my, because I added that. That's why it sounded so familiar, because I added that other term, but I don't like it. I think that that should be, the T should be attached in the way that I have it written. Sophisticated, okay? So that is sophisticated planning. Like so. And that marks the end of the paragraph. So now I go back up and read through the paragraph to put it in context. There we go. Grab our trusty highlighter and we begin. Next to the attention that can only be directed at one thing at a time, and the short-term memory that can only hold on to 7 things at once. The third, I think third requires a vowel. It requires a vowel and it's much shorter. So we're going to go ahead and fix that here. Put this on. This is third. There's third. The third limited resource is motivation or willpower. Here too, the environmental design of our workflow makes all the difference. It shouldn't come as a surprise anymore that a close cooperation with the slip box turns out to be far superior to any sophisticated planning. There we go. Next paragraph. For the longest time, willpower was seen more as a character trait. Willpower was seen as more of, and then character trait is car, chara, character, possibly. Let's go ahead and check it out. Character trait. Character trait. So let's go back here. Where is the... Here we go. Oh, even easier. Just cock. Man, that is a very unfortunate brief form, but oh well. So we have character was seen as more of a character trait than resource. Okay? End of paragraph, end of sentence. This has changed. This has changed. Period. Move next sentence. Let it save. That is one of the things about Zernal. Zernal as a note-taking app. You have to save constantly because, as I've experienced, it can be a little buggy every once in a while, and you will lose whole pages of work, which is it's a little heart-rending, to be honest. Okay. This has changed. Today, willpower is compared to muscles. Today, so that is today, comma? Yes. Willpower is compared. Now, pretty sure that's compared. Let's go ahead and check that out. Beautiful. Not so beautiful because I put a vowel in there when there shouldn't be one. Is compared to muscles. To let's see here. This is muscles. Let's see if that is correct or if it's even shorter. If I can spell it correctly. Muscle. That's right. Muscle. All right. Very good. Was seen as a character trait. Today, willpower is compared to muscles. Colon. Limited. There's our good friend. Limited resource that depletes quickly. Resource that and then depletes is... I highly doubt that there's going to be a brief form for that, so that's just going to be depletes. See if that is correct. Yes. Hoorah. Hoorah. That depletes quickly. And quickly is like so. Quickly. And needs time to recover. And needs time to recover. This is R. Ooh. Recove. Let's see if that's correct. Beautiful. That's exactly right. Needs time to recover. Period. And then we have improvement through training is possible to a certain degree. Improve 'em? No, improvement is just IMPR. Improvement through training, is possible to a certain degree. Is possible to certain. Certain is going to be S. Ooh. I think it's... Oh, yes. It's STN. Is possible to a certain, and then degree is degree? Something? Let's see. Oh, no need for the RE. It's just DEG. Pretty much just like the acronym degree. That is one of the interesting things about Gregg shorthand is that it's a combination of three different philosophies. The first philosophy, the fundamental quality of Gregg shorthand, is its phonetic nature. Every There are only 24 signs phonetic that are phonetic transcriptions. But then, after you take that it's already reducing a speech. It's moving it away from orthographic representation into phonetic representation. Once you have the phonetic representation, there is even further shortening or compression using abbreviation, especially of common words such as degree, market, Mr., those sorts of things where there were already, at the time when Gregg was developed, and that was about the 1890s, there were already well-established abbreviation principles and schools in place for speed writing. So John Robert Gregg simply took those abbreviation principles, added them into his system, and then on top of the phonetic representation, the abbreviation principles, there is the second or the third principle, and the third principle is that of analogous, or the analogy of strokes. So what you do is you create parts of speech. Parts of speech are given a phonetic representation. For instance, the B stroke, right? The B stroke, if it's at the end of a word, it always means ability. It doesn't matter what it is, it just means ability. And so because of that, you can further shorten the amount of cognitive strain when it comes to constructing the words and also reading them back, because you are simply looking at the forms as if they were keys to particular phonetic patterns. So a really beautiful system, but one that I have to remember constantly is the abbreviation principle. So for instance, I take the word degree and I think, oh, it's going to be the whole DEGRE, but no, you can just think of it in terms of the abbreviation principle. DEG for degree. All right, so going on, we have improvement through training to a certain degree, comma, but takes time and effort. But takes time and effort. Effort. Like that. Let me go ahead and check to make sure we don't need to do a disjointing between that. Effort. Oh, it's even shorter. It just does EFT. No need for the RT. Effort. Okay? Takes time and effort, period. The phenomenon is usually discussed under the term ego depletion. And then phenomenon is this one was phenomenon, I believe, is the stroking for that, so we'll check it. Phenomenon. And, oh, nope, it is actually shorter. It's just doing fen, uminen. Fen is the phonetic transcription for that. Phenomenon. So it's F-E-O stroke, M-N stroke. Is usually discussed. Is usually... I take that back, it's the other way, because this is usual, and then usually is usually discussed. So we go discussed under the term ego depletion. Under the term, quote, ego depletion. Ego depletion. So we go D-P-L depletion. Let's see if that's depletion. And that's correct. The only difference is that it does not require the E stroke. It is just depletion. Okay? And that one is the end of the quotation, the term ego depletion, colon. We use the term ego depletion. We use, oh, and I love this one. This is we, and then use is that. Makes a beautiful little butterfly. We use the term ego depletion. We use the term, and here this is italicized, so we go ego depletion. We underline that to show it's italicized, to refer to a temporary reduction, to, and then refer is also, reference and refer are the same stroke. Yep. To refer to a temporary reduction, to refer to temporary, so this is, oh, what is temporary? Tempora? Let's take a look. Temporary. Oh no, okay, so it needs the P-R-R-E. Okay, so we go temp, like so. Temporary, like that, okay? We use the term ego depletion to refer to a temporary and then reduction in the self's capacity. Reduction is going to be reduction. Let's see if that's correct. Pretty much, they just want a little bit. Let's see, the RE, or the E, goes inside the curve. There we go. And then reduction, like that. So a little bit more of a forward slant on the D. We use the term ego depletion to refer to a temporary reduction in the self's capacity. In the, and then self's capacity. If it is self just by itself, it sounds funny. I'm pretty sure it has to be the full name. Self is interesting because it's a very common prefix. You'll see that self by self, when you just have the word, it does require SELF, the full name, right? In this instance, it does have to be that structure because this is self's, okay? But if it's acting as a prefix, then it is simply a disjointed S. A disjointed S gives you the self. See that? So self-supporting, self-sufficient, self-perceptive, self-discipline, so on and so forth, all the different versions in which the prefix is added. And it's just a disjointed S moving away from the beginning of the line of writing. In this instance, we can't use that because this is the full name. Reduction in the self's capacity. Now, capacity is KP, that I believe. Let me check that. Capacity. Oh, that's right. Yes, it's KAP, and then we get to use city. Now, a disjointed S at the end of a word indicates the suffix city. City, okay? The self's capacity or willingness, or willingness. The little dot usually indicates ning, but it could be that they want this to be a little different. That's unwilling. How about willingness? Nothing. I'm gonna call it that one, okay? So we have willingness. We had the little dot for willing, and then ness for the NES for willingness. To engage, to engage, and engage should be engage, but we'll go ahead and check there too, because it could be that they want the vowel. Engage. Oh, that's right. This is just engage. Engage is engage. That's one that always gets to me. So we go engage. In volitional action. Now volitional, here's another one. This is going to be volition. Volitional. So we go volition. Oh. Go ahead, check and see if that is correct. Volitional. That's exactly correct, okay? So there's volitional action, like so, including controlling the environment. Parenthesis, including. Including is this one. It's including controlling the environment. Controlling, check this here. Controlling the environment. Let me check control. Let's see if that is correct. Yeah, controlling the environment. Where is... Here we go. Ah, yes. This one, it's a disjointed. This is another one where it's con goes over the top for contra, and then ul. Contra-ul. For controlling the, and then I need to check environment again. Let's see if that is correct. Environment. Environment. And yes, close enough. The N could be a little shorter, but I'm going to leave it for now. Controlling the self, comma. So we have controlling again. Controlling the self, comma. Next page. Now we're on page 70. Making choices and initiating action. Making choices is going to be choices. See if that is correct. Choices. Yep, and that's correct. Making choices. Now that should be a little longer, so it's not choices, but as long as we get the geometry correct, then it's going to be okay. Making choices, comma, and now initiating. So this one would be initiate. That does not look correct. Let me go ahead and see. It could be just initiate. Nope. No. They want initiate. And that large circle with the dot through the center is for the ia. That gives you the ia sound. So this one is initiate. Okay? So initiate, like so. And then in ting ending, or the ing ending, is the dot, and then action. Close parenthesis. Caused by prior exercise of volition. Caused by prior. So this is prior exercise. This is going to be I think it might be exercise, but let's go ahead and check. No, well, I mean, it is using the exer, and then R, exer. That's exercise. Prior, I also need to check prior to make sure that that isn't a brief form. and it's not. Now, what is interesting is that in this instance, they want both a large circle, which is the A stroke, and the E stroke, like that, prior. Caused by prior exercise of volition. And then volition, we just did that one, which was volition, like that. And then the reference here is to Baumeister et al. 1998, page 1253. But before that, well, let me go ahead and grab, yes, I'm going to go ahead and grab Baumeister, the Baumeister reference. So Baumeister is Baumeister, like that. And that's a proper name, so we do 2 slashes underneath to show that it is a proper noun. Et al, and then et al. I think this one I did et al, and that's of course the Latin term. Et al. 1998, so 1998, page 1253, page 1253. Okay, and now before we move on to the next paragraph, there is a footnote here. So for a footnote, I'm going to go ahead and make that a square bracket underneath. Okay, square bracket underneath. Bada boom, bada bang. We go back over here. And the square bracket here states, even though this is not a new discovery, even though this is not a new discovery, is going to be discovery. I think it was discovery. Let's go ahead and check that. Even shorter, no need for, well, no, it is. It's, yep, that is discovery. Even though this is not a new discovery, comma, it is now confirmed by neuroscientists. It is now confirmed. This is confirmed, and then a D ending on that. Let's go ahead and let me confirm that that is the actual word. Confirmed. And they want a disjointed. So if you have a disjointed T stroke, then that's your past tense. Sometimes you attach it, other times you don't. In this instance, they want it detached because it's a brief form. It is now confirmed by neuroscientists. I believe I know I added the term there, and it's a little bit more complex than I care to deal with at the moment, so I'm going to go ahead and search for it. Neuroscientist, yep. So let me go ahead and add that to the lineup here. Oh. Let's go ahead and save this, and then we need neuroscientists, and then this is the double S, so we have to make a little hook here. Scientists. And experimental psychologists alike. And now experimental is going to be mental. Experimental. Let me go ahead and see if that is correct or not. Experimental. Take a look here. Oh, it's going to be a disjointed. So the disjointed M stroke is experimental. Okay. Go ahead and go back over here. Change that then. So if we do experiment and it's connected, that's experiment. But if we do EXPR for exper and then mental is just the disjointed MN stroke below. Slightly below the first stroke. experimental psychologists alike. And psychologist is psychologists alike. So alike is going to be A-L-A-A-L-A. And the reference there is to Doyle, as in Arthur Conan Doyle. So I need to add another page, though. This is page 11, so this is how to take smart notes, section 9, getting close to the end of section 9, and this one is going to be this is page number 11. There we go. Going back up. And now it's time for a little drink of coffee, a little sip of sippa. There we go. All right, so we were Doyle is his name, is the first reference. So this is Doyle. Doy is oi, Doyle. Oh, wait. No, that's oil. This would be oil. Oil. Now I'm blanking. Doyle. Oil. Yes, it would be a U. Doyle and Zakrajek. Okay, so this is funny. It's a Russian name, Russian or Slavic at any rate. Zakrajek. So that is Kra, and then Shek, like that. Zakrajek, okay? 2013 was the reference there. But they in turn were referring to Tabini. So that reference, so it's referring to Tambini. So here we go, Tambini. We can't do the TM stroke obviously for a name. So we're going to go Tam Bini. And then Akretz in, what is, good grief, what is that? Tambini A. Oh, okay, so that's his name, Tambini A. Whoever Tambini A was. All right, so we have Tambini A, or we could do it this way as well. And then the next one was Kretz in. So we go Kretz for the TZ sound. Kretz, and that one was in. There we go. Kretz in and Davichi L. And Davichi L. Okay. All right, so that's the three that it's referencing, and those, so they in turn, that source was from 2010. Okay, so that closes out the interior reference, and then this closes out the footnote. So now we can go back in Baumeister et al. Now I can go back and reread the paragraph with all those references. So I'm looking for the paragraph marker, and if I can't find it, then I just look for the beginning of the paragraph, which is for the longest time. For the longest time. So I'm searching through, looking. I mean, ideally, I remembered to add the paragraph marker. Let's see here, for the longest time, there it is. So there's our paragraph marker right at the end of a line. It really should be the beginning of a line. So Let me go ahead and fix that. Move it over. There we go. Move this over here. This is for the. Now we continue. For the longest time, this is outs. No, willpower. Good grief. I need to straighten that up. That almost looked like a CH. So this is willpower. There we go. That's a bit better. Willpower was seen as more of a character trait than a resource. This has changed. Need to make that dot just a little bit more pronounced. There we go. This has changed. Moving on. Today, willpower is K. Oh, my hand's hovering right over the undo button, so I tapped it on accident. Here we go. Back to what I was doing. Willpower is compared. That's right. So this is compared to muscles. A limited resource that depletes quickly and needs time to recover. And then this one is improvement, I believe. Yes, improvement through training is the phrase. Let me confirm that is improvement. Yep, grab the whole thing. Improvement, and that is correct. So we continue. Improvement through training is possible to a certain degree, but takes time and effort. The phenomenon is usually discussed under the term ego depletion. We use the term ego depletion to refer to a temporary reduction in the self's capacity or willingness to engage in volitional action. And the reference there is, no, it's not an action, it's indeed. Is that indeed? Right? No, including. Let me look up including. Yes. Including controlling the environment, controlling the self, making choices, and what is that? This was the Ia. And initiating. That's initiating. That's right. And initiating action. It's the end of the parenthesis. Because or caused by prior exercise of volition. There we go. That is, oh man, that is quite the term. Okay, hopefully you guys understood that. I barely understood it. Even as I was writing it, I barely understood it. Essentially what he's saying is that willpower is something that will that you can use for a certain amount, but it's kind of like in a video game where you can use it, but then it has a cooldown period. And during the cooldown period, you have a limited ability to control your environment, to control your emotions, to initiate action, those sorts of things. So that's essentially what it is. Willpower has a cooldown rate. And with training, you can buff your cooldown rate, but you're still going to be somewhat limited. All right? Moving forward, the reference there was Baumeister et al., 1998, page 1253. And then he has a footnote, that's the square bracket. Even though this is in a new discovery, it is now confirmed. It is now confirmed, even though this is not a new discovery. Even though this is not a new discovery, it is now confirmed by what? By, yes. So I need to do a by symbol, which is the B. There we go. It is confirmed by neuroscientists and experimental psychologists alike. And the reference there is Doyle and Zakrajek, 2013, and then referenced to or referring to. Let me find the. Yeah, let me go ahead and see what referring. Referring does not exist, but that is refer, and I'm going to go ahead and say referring to. All right. So this is referring to, and then this name right here was Tambini, a Kretz. Yeah, Kretz in, and that one was Davici. Yes, Davici L. And I need to underline those letters just so that we're sure that those are Roman letters and not Gregg symbols. And this one was 2010. 2010. Okay? Going on. One of the most interesting findings on ego depletion is the broad variety of things that can have a depleting effect. Okay, let's go ahead and continue here. So, bada boom, bada bang. One of the most interesting findings on ego depletion, grab this. One of the most interesting findings on ego depletion. We'll grab this over here, and here's ego depletion. Ego and then depletion is, we've already done this one before. We go depletion. All right. Is the broad variety of things that can have a depleting effect. Is the broad variety I need to check both of those terms to see, first broad, to see if that is the term for it, and it is, and it's broaden, and then broad is going to be the same, so it's not really a difference there. Then we need variety, and that's just vari, so it's using the diphthong to show riti. Variety of things that can have a depleting effect, of things that can have a depleting. Let me check that. So depletion, ego depletion does require depletion. Deplete and depletion are those are two different terms. So they're going to be treated differently. So we have depletion, and then this is depleting. It can have a depleting effect. Okay? And that one then is there's a block quote here, so we're going to go ahead and make that another sentence, and then this is quotation. Our results suggest that a broad assortment of actions. So our, and then results is resu. Our results. See if that is correct. Yep, and then it just curves back around. So we're going to go our results suggest that a broad assortment suggest is so I think that's suggest sudge. Yep. Our results suggest that a broad assortment of actions suggest that broad and then assortment. So this is assortment. Probably curves in assortum. Check and see if that is assortment. No need for the R. The O stroke or the O hook is enough to indicate. So we go down, up, and then over, and then there's assortment. A broad assortment of actions make use of the same resource. Make use of the same resource. Acts of self-control, acts of, and here's where we can use the self-control. Make sure that the S does indeed curve the other way. Self-control, that's hyphenated. Self-control. Oh, interesting. So this is one of the cases where you actually connect. You connect the S. So this is self-control. Responsible decision-making. Responsible. So this is respon. R-S-pon-able. Let's check and see if that's responsible. Just RSB. RSB is responsible. Okay. Responsible. Our results suggest that a broad assortment of actions make use of the same resource. Acts of self-control, responsible decision-making, and decision. Let's see here. Is this correct? We go decision. That does not, I don't think that's correct. Let's see here. Decision. Let's go ahead and confirm. Let's see, decision. That's correct. Okay, so the S just needs to curve over a little bit more. So we'll curve that here, and then there. Responsible decision making and active choice. And active choice seem to interfere with other such acts. Seem to interfere with other such acts. With other such acts that follow soon after. That follow soon after. The implication is that some vital resource of the self. The, and then implication, it's going to be implation. See if that's correct. Implication. Nope, it does require the E-K-tion. Okay, so we'll grab implication. The implication is that some vital resource is that some vital. Let's see if that's correct, if it needs the full term or not. Vital. Beautiful. Let's curve it up just a little bit more, though. So we go vital, and then resource. Some vital resource of the self becomes depleted. Of the self becomes depleted. Becomes then depleted. So this is depleted. Becomes depleted by such acts of volition. By such acts of, and here's our good old friend, volition. Okay? Period. To be sure, we assume that this resource is commonly replenished. So to be sure, we assume that this resource is commonly replenished. We assume, let's see if this is assume, assume. See if that is correct. Just ASM. ASM. We assume that this resource, is commonly replenished. Is, and then commonly. See if that's correct. Yes, that is correct. If I could spell. There's commonly. Okay. Is commonly, and then replenished is RPLENSH, and then a disjointed, not unjointed, a disjointed T-stroke. Let's see if that is replenished. Replenish. Yes, good. Is replenished. Although the factors that might hasten or delay the replenishment, although the factors, so we have although the factors that might hasten, or delay the replenishment, replenish them, remain unknown. Remain unknown. I think, isn't this one the unknown? Nope, it just uses the U hook. U hook and then the remainder. So we go U hook in. That's the unknown. They remain an unknown, although the replenishment, let's see, the factors that might hasten or delay the replenishment remain unknown, along with the precise nature of this resource. Once again, we're talking about willpower. Along with the precise nature of this resource. So we go along with the precise is PR psi, the precise nature of this resource, are like so, resource. And that was the end of the quote, close quotations, and this was, once again, this was the Baumeister quote. So we're going to go Baumeister, and this one is et al. So once again, et al. 1998, 1263 F. Man, that is some book if it's 1,000 pages. That's insane. 1263, section F. 1263. 260. Oof, I'm going to have to put this on a new line. New line below. 1263. And then it's the letter F. All right, put a little line under it. Okay, so that's the end of the paragraph, and I need to now go ahead and read through it. Now, it's actually going to be 2 paragraph markings, one above, one below, because there was a little lead-in sentence before the actual quotation. So our first one was here, I believe one. Yeah, one of the most. Okay, so we have one of the most interesting. There we go. Oi. Now let's proceed. Grab the highlighting pencil and put this back up where it belongs. Boom. Come on. There we go. Highlighter. One of the most interesting findings of, or on ELO? Ego. That's ego. Ego depletion is the broad variety of things that can be a depleting factor, can be a depleting effect. And then here's the quote. Our results suggest that a broad ASTM assortment of, forgot the of word, so let's go ahead and erase this here, and we'll do of, assortment of actions make use of the same resource. Acts of self-control, let's see here, acts of self-control, responsible decision-making, that's a comma, by the way, responsible decision-making, and active, that was active, right? Let's go check. Active is just AK. Yeah, active is just AKV. Okay, so let's go ahead and get rid of this one, and we'll put this back here. So we go active choice, choice what? Active choice seem to interfere with other interfere with other such. So this is such. Such is SU, right? SUCH? Yes, or just SCH. So let's go and fix that here. Other such acts that force us? No. Other such acts that follow soon after. Let's see what follow is. Follow. That's correct. Good. That follow soon after. The implications, the implications stay, the implication is that soon the implication is that some vital resource of the resource of the self becomes depleted by such actions, by such acts of volition, and such needs to be fixed. I had fixed it the second time, but it's not actually an it's just an S by such. There we go. By such acts of volition. To be sure, we assume that this resource is commonly replenished, although is commonly replenished, comma? Yes, there should be a comma there. Comma. And then it's the although. Now, although requires, let's take a look at that. Although, and that's, yep, that's a variation, so we're good there. Although the factors that might, let me check factors. Close enough. Yeah, that should be just a little bit more of a circle. Oh no, that's factors, and it is a loop. You change factor into factors by changing the circle into a loop on the end of the phrase. So we'll go back here. The factors that might hasten or delay the replenishment remain unknown. Along with the precise nature of this resource, along with the precise nature of this resource. And that was Baumeister et al., 1998, page 1263, letter F. Okay, wow. Got about an hour left. I've been going for 2 hours so far. So, speaking of replenishment of the will or ego depletion, I'm feeling that myself for sure. Oi. Oi, oi, oi. Okay, I will be right back. Just give me 1 second. Okay, back at it. So let's go ahead and continue. Minimize. Let's see. I'm going to minimize this screen here and check this. Good, good. So let's go ahead and get back to work. Let me check the sound. Okay, back at it. All right, so here we go. Minimize this screen here. All right, so we had just finished along with the precise nature of the resource, and then that was the Baumeister quote. And now we're going back. So we are proceeding. Even something seemingly unrelated, like being the victim of prejudice, can have a significant effect. Ooh, that's interesting. I wonder, oh, because ego depletion. Oh, fascinating. Okay, so let's see here. Even, so here's a paragraph marker. Even something seemingly unrelated. Even something seemingly, so seemingly, maybe? Let's check that. Seemingly. Oh, it's an illy ending, so it's the dot. It's the dot below. So we go seemingly. Even something seemingly unrelated. Unrelated. So unrelated is going to be unrelated. Let's see if that's correct. Almost. We simply need to have an E vowel placed in there as well. So we go unrelated. Like being the victim of prejudice. Like being the victim of prejudice. Prejudice. This is prejudice, probably, would be close enough. So be prejudice. Would be prejudice. Let me check that. Prejudice. Yep. No need even for the S below. Just prej is enough. Prejudice. Like that. Can have a significant effect. Can have a significant effect. And the reference there is Inslicht. Inslicht. So Licht. So that Inslicht. Inslicht. McKay is the quote. So we go McKay, Mick, and then A. And Aronson. And Aronson. So we go Aronson. Aronson. Is that correct? Aronin? I'm going to have a disjointed. So for sun, I'm just going to disjoint it. So it's Aronson. Okay. And that is 2006. 2006. Okay. As quote, controlling the influence of stereotypes as, so this is as, and then the quotation below starts out with controlling the influence of stereotypes, the influence like that. Influence. Let me check to see if that is influence. Influence is just in F. In F. All right. Controlling the influence of stereotypes stereo, and there it is, stereotype of stereotypes. Oh, wow. So they cut this whole thing out, and it's ellipsis. May rely on the same. May, and then next line down, may rely on the same, and then more ellipses, close parenthesis, limited strength resource. Limited strength resource. So limited strength, STR and then TH. See if, oh no, it's STRN, I think. Oh, it's just STR. Strength may rely on the same limited strength resource. So this is hyphen limited strength and then resource are resource on which people draw for self-regulation. On which people draw for self-regulation. So the S curves away from the line of writing. So self and then reg for regulation. Let's see if that's correct. Self-regulate. That's self-respect. Self-regulation. Let me check regulation. There. Okay, so regulation requires a "-tion ending. Okay, and then self. And confirm that. Yes. All right, I'm going to go ahead and add that word to the listing. All right, so there's self-regulation. A little drink of water. Okay. And that one was Govoron and Payne, 2006, page 112. Govoron is the name. Oh, and that was end of quotation, self-regulation. And this one was Govoron. So this is Govoron. Govoron. And Payne. And Payne. 2006. Page 112. It curves towards the line of writing. There we go. Page 112. Close the parenthesis, and that was the end of the sentence. New paragraph. Go back through, read all the way to the previous section, look for the paragraph marker, which is here, and we begin. This is even. We're looking for even. Even something seemingly, even something seemingly unrelated, like being the victim of prejudice can have a significant, and that significant effect. And that one was Inslicht, McKay, and McKay and what was that? Aronson, 2006. As, quote, controlling the influence, the influence of stereotypes may rely on the same and then this is limited strength resource on which people draw for self-regulation. End of quote. And that one was Govorun and Payne, 2006, page 112. Okay. Next paragraph. The smartest way to deal with this kind of limitation. The smartest way to deal with this kind of limitation. I like this one. The smartest way to deal with this kind of limitation, need a full line here, limitation, is to cheat. He just puts it bluntly, is to cheat, period. Instead of forcing ourselves to do something we don't feel like, instead of forcing ourselves to do something we don't feel like doing, to do something we don't feel like doing, we need to find a way to make us feel. We need to find a way to make us feel like, doing what moves our project, like doing what moves our project further along. Doing the work that needs to be done, doing the work that needs to be done without having to apply, without having to apply too much willpower, too much willpower requires a technique, a ruse, requires uh, technique, comma, a ruse, like so, a ruse. Check that through. There's ruse. That's peruse, and we just need ruse. I'm going to go ahead and add that to the dictionary. There we go. All right, so moving on. A ruse, and that was the end of the paragraph. So let's go back through and read it from the get-go so we can see what it's like when it's not all slowed down. Smart. The smart way to deal with this kind of limitation is to cheat. Instead of forcing, so we need a dot, forcing ourselves to do something we don't feel like doing, we need to find a way to make us feel, and that looks like face, so we need to make that just a little bit smaller, to feel like doing what moves our project further along. Do the work that does the work. Doing the work. There we go. Doing the work that needs to be done without having to apply too much willpower requires a technique, a ruse. Next paragraph. Even though results of these studies are currently under intense scrutiny, even though results of these studies are currently under intense scrutiny. This is currenti. Let's see if that's correct. Yep, are currently under intense scrutiny. So this is intense. So I think that intense is going to be, we have to do what was that? Go back, add that, currently under intense scrutiny. Let's check and see if that is intense. Yep. And then scrutiny is SKR. Tenny. Go ahead and check that value. Scrutiny. SKR, that is correct. We'll just go ahead and clean up. We'll make the T and stand up just a little bit more. There we go. And have to be taken with a grain of salt. And have to be taken with a grain of salt. Carter and McCullough. And so here we go. This is Carter. Carter and Mick. This is Mick. Olo. O. O. Lo. Carter and McCullough. 2014. 2014. Semicolon. Enger and Caltarucci. Enger and Caltarucci. So that's Enner and Caltarucci. So Caltarucci. Caltarucci. 2016. And then Job, Dweck, and Walton in 2010. Job, so we go, let's see, Job, Dweck. How do you say that name? Dweck. Let's see here. Need to look up Dweck. Where'd it go? There it is. Oh, Oliver Dweck. That, I mean, that looks correct, but let's see here. Ah, Carol Dweck. Right? I'm assuming that it's Carol Dweck. Let's go ahead and take a look here at how her name is pronounced. So this is an interview from her. She's a psychologist. So we'll listen.
Thank you. Today, I want to tell you about the power of yet. I learned of a high school in Chicago where students had to pass 84 units to graduate.
Let's check
and
this.
if they didn't pass, they got the grade not yet. I thought, isn't that wonderful? Because
So
if you
checking
fail,
this out.
you're nowhere. But if you get the grade not yet, you're on a learning curve. Not yet gave them a path into
Oh,
the
come on, let's
future.
see.
And not
How do you
yet
say her name? How do you say
also
her name?
helped me understand a critical
Carol Dweck. I'm guessing it's Carol Dweck. Cause if she's an American, then the chance of her name of them calling her Dweck is that's pretty funny. So I think it is Dweck. All right. So we'll go ahead and add that here. So the study there was Job, Dweck, and Walton. Job, Dweck. Dweck. So Dweck. Like so. Dweck and Walton. And Ualten. 2010. All right. Close parenthesis. It is safe to argue that a reliable and standardized working environment. So we go, it is safe to argue argue. I think it is just AGU. Let's see here. AGEU. Argue. You have to have the U in there. It's not argue. It's argue. Here we go. It is safe to argue that a reliable and standardized working environment that reliable and standardized. Go ahead and check reliable again. It requires so it's RE, and then it requires the diphthong. So here we go. The reliable and then standardized. Go ahead, add another page below. This is page number 12. So we're going to go how to take smart notes. Section 9 still. This is page number 12. Okay, going back up here. All right, reliable and standardized. Let's standardized. That's going to be S10 ST stan. Oh, no, that's too advanced. I know that Gregg is not going to be like that. It's going to be standardized. Yep. It just does a STN and then goes straight to the ARD. Standard. So we go like that. Standardized, and then just do plural or the past tense by doing the line T-stroke the line. Standardized working environment. Working environment is less taxing on our attention. Is less taxing on our attention, concentration, and willpower. So this is concentration and willpower. Let me check concentration. I don't think it's quite that extensive. Let's check it. And it's not. So it uses a disjointed shun at the end, so it's concen and then tration. Concentration. That's good to know. The disjointed S below what can help us with the tration ending if the word starts to become too advanced. Okay. Taxing on our attention, concentration, and willpower. Or, if you like, ego, comma. So it's comma after that, comma after each of these as well. So concentration and willpower. Or, if you like, ego. Or, comma, if you like, ego. Go, comma, hyphen. That is italicized, and then that actually should be a sentence marker right there. It is well known that decision making is one of the most tiring and wearying tasks. It is known that decision making decision, so we go decision making. It's well known that decision making is one of the most tiring and wearying tasks. Let's go ahead and fix this a little bit. Tiring and wearying. Weary. Eerie, so wearying. See if that's correct. Yes, very nice. Wearying tasks. Comma. Which is why people like Barack Obama or Bill Gates, you can tell when this book was written, which is why people like Barack Obama, so Barack, ba, Barack Obama, or Bill Gates, Bill Gates, only wear two-color suits. Only wear two color, color is just K-O, yep, K-O-L, color suits. Dark blue or dark gray. So this is dark blue or dark gray. Period. This means they have one less decision to make in the morning. This means they have one less decision. They have one less decision to make in the morning, leaving more resources for the decisions that really matter. Leaving more resources for the decisions, for the decisions that really matter. Okay, that's the end of the paragraph. So now let's go ahead and check through. Going back, previous paragraph marker. It's before the 2010, right? 2010. Even though the smartest way to deal with these limitations, and then this is, or if you like, ego. And we're looking for even though right here. Drop a paragraph marker just before it. Okay. Here we go. Dun. Just checking this out here. Okay. So going back up through here, even though, zoom out a little bit so I can see the whole line. Proceed. Even though resources of, no, even though results, even though results of these studies are currently under intense scrutiny and have to be taken with a grain of salt. That was according to Carter and Micolo, 2014, Anger and Caltorucci, in 2016. Job Dweck, Job Dweck and Walton in 2010. It is safe to argue that a reliable and standardized working environment is less taxing on our attention. Concentration and willpower. Or, if you like, ego. It is known well known. So I need to put that in there. It is well known that, okay, I need to go ahead and check this. It is well known that decision making is one of the most taxing and wearying tasks. One of the most tiring and wearying tasks, which is why people like Barack Obama and Bill Gates only wear two color suits, dark blue or dark gray. This means they have one less decision to make in the morning, leaving more resources for the decisions that really matter. Okay? Next, in the way we organize, here we go. In the way we organize our research and writing, go ahead and go forward here. In the way we, oh, and that's a new paragraph. So new paragraph here. In the way we organize our writing, our research and writing, we too can significantly reduce the number of decisions we have to make, comma. We too can significantly. And then is it a disjointed E at the end for significantly? Nope, just the E is attached. The E is attached to the form. Here we go. Significantly. We can significantly reduce and reduce the number of decisions we have to make, of decisions we have to make, period. While content related, let me see, related, there it is. While content-related decisions have to be made, so we go decisions have to be made on what is more or less important in an article. This is in parentheses. On what is more or less important, on what is more or less important in an article. The connections between notes, comma, the connections between notes, the structure of a text, etc. The structure of a text, etc. etc. So that's going to be etc. Maybe that. Let's see. Is that even in there? Etc. That's etch, etc. I think we'll make etc. be ETSE, etc. Add it to the list. ETC. Okay. More or less, and that's etc. Most organizational decisions. So that's period, and then close parenthesis, comma, most organizational decisions, most org decisions can be made up front. Can be made up front. Once and for all. Once and for all. By deciding on one system. Once again, advocating for the slipbox method. Once and for all, by deciding on one system. By deciding on one system. That's the end of the paragraph there. So let's go ahead and read back over that. Here we go. In the way we organize our research and writing, even the way, in the way. In the way we organize our research and writing, we too can significantly reduce the number of decisions we have to make while content related, and then we can make, period. We can make. Oh, that was already done, okay. While content-related decisions have to be made, such as on what is more or less important in an article, the connections between notes, the structure of a text, etc. Most organizational decisions, and check organizational. Okay, so you have to do the L below. Most organizational decisions can be made on upfront, once. This is a once right here. Here we go. Once and for all, by deciding on one system. So let me look up deciding one more time. Deciding's not there, but decide is, right? And decide is just the diphthong. Okay. Grab that, put that there. By deciding, there we go, on one system. Okay. Alrighty. Oh, about 17 minutes left. Here we go. By always using the same notebook for making quick notes. So here we go. This is how to standardize. By always using the same notebook. By always using the same notebook for making quick notes, for making quick notes, always extracting the main ideas, always extracting, I think that's probably extracting. Let's look. That's extraction. So we just have extract, like here. Extracting the main ideas from a text in the same way by extracting the main ideas from the text in the same way, and always turning them into the same kind of permanent notes, and always turning them into, and always turning them into the same kind of turning them into the same kind of, and then permanent, so P-E-R, permanent notes, which are always dealt with in the same manner, comma, which are always dealt with. This is going to be dealt with. Let me check dealt. Good. Dealt with in the same manner. Dealt with in the same manner. The number of decisions during a work session. The number of decisions in a work session. Let's look up session. Good. Number of work during a work session can be greatly reduced. Can be greatly, and then reduced is reduced, like so. This leaves us with much more mental energy. This leaves us with much more mental energy. And let's make this just a little longer. Mental energy. We did that. That was NG, I believe, right? Energy. Let's see. Energy. Just NRNG. No need for the vowel. Energy. That we can direct towards more useful tasks. That we can direct towards is like that, I believe, towards. That is correct, so we just need to take this line under here. Towards more useful tasks. Useful. So useful and then tasks. Like trying to solve the problems in question, comma, like trying to solve. Solve requires SLV, so might need the whole thing. Like trying to, and then solve is the whole thing here. Solve, like trying to solve. Yep. The problems in question. The problems in question. End of paragraph. Go back to by always using the same notebook is what we're looking for. Here we are. Zoom in to that point right there. Here we go. By always using the same notebook for making quick notes, always extracting the main ideas from the text in the same way, and always turning them into the same kind of permanent notes, which are also which are also dealt with in the same manner. The number of decisions in a work session can be greatly reduced. Is that greatly? Yes. Can be greatly reduced. This leaves us with much more mental energy that we can direct. Yes, that we can direct toward more useful tasks. Tasks like trying to solve the problem in question. Okay. All right. That was pretty good. About 9 minutes left. That's another 3-hour session. It's nice. The process is definitely getting faster. I mean, pretty soon it's going to be to the point where I don't need to show the process and I just use it in the actual study sessions, which is a beautiful thing. All right, being able to finish a task in a timely manner. So let's scroll down here and check this out. So we go being able to finish a task in a timely manner, being able to finish a task in a timely manner, and to pick up the work exactly where we left it, and to pick up the work exactly where we left it, exactly where we left it, has another enjoyable advantage. Has another enjoyable enjoyable, put that there, advantage, like that helps to restore our attention, that helps to restore our attention. We can have breaks without fear of losing the thread. We can have breaks without fear of losing the thread. Breaks are much more than just opportunities to recover. Breaks are much more than just opportunities, than just opportunities to recover. So this is cov. like so. And there is a line through there, like that. Are much more than just opportunities to recover. They are crucial for learning. They are crucial for learning. They are crucial for learning. They allow the brain to process information. They allow the brain to process information. Move it into long-term memory. Move it into long-term. Add another page below this, right? Control D, and then this is page 13. Here we go. How to take smart notes. Number 9, page number 9, and then this is page, or section number 9, this is page number 13. Like so. Okay, put it back over here. Drag it back into position. Put it here. Long term, so we did, this allows they allow the brain to process information, move it into long-term memory, and prepare it for new information. And prepare, I believe that's PRPR for prepare. Nope, just prep. And prepare it for new information. Prepare it for new information. And that reference is from our good friends Doyle and Zakrajek. We've already seen them a few times now. So this is Doyle and Zakrajek. Zakrajek. 2013, page 69. 2013, page 69. Okay. And then there is a, was that 22? No, it's 21. Hold on. Oh, I take that back. Okay, 21, the note that I had made earlier was actually referenced here. Even though this is not a new discovery, it is now confirmed by neuroscientists and experimental psychologists alike. Doyle and Zakrajek, the 2013 reference, they were referencing Tabini, Ketz, and Davici. Okay, so whatever, that was the other footnote. But anyway, moving on. So after them, if we don't give ourselves a break in between work sessions, if we don't give and then ourselves a break, if we don't give ourselves a break in between work sessions, Here we go, work sessions. Work sessions, like that. Correct, and that's sessions. Be it out of eagerness or fear of forgetting what we are doing, comma, so it's comma, be it out of fear of, be it out of eagerness, be it out of eagerness, eagerness, or fear of forgetting what we are doing, or fear of forgetting what we are doing, it can have a detrimental effect on our efforts, comma. It can have, and then detrimental, be detrimental. Detrimental. So detra can be that is a suffix. So we go detra and then mental, like that. It can have a detrimental effect on our efforts. Effect on our, and then efforts, like that. To have a walk or even a nap supports learning and thinking. So here we go. This is to have a walk, to have a walk. And that one was Rady, 2008. Uh, 2008. Good. Close parenthesis. Or even a nap supports learning and thinking. Or even a nap, or even nap. 22. Oh, there's a footnote here. Neuroscientists would call it long-term potentiation. Neuro. I think that's a little bit of a joke. I'm going to leave it for now. All right, so I'm going to call it there for right now. I got to take a little break, and then I'll be back. As he was saying, it's important to take a little break, correct? So even when you are engaged in work like this, where I'm essentially demonstrating the process of acquiring the skill of shorthand. Now, obviously, you don't need to copy every single text like I'm doing here. That would be ridiculous. But what this is doing is it's a demonstration of the process if you were to learn how to, if you were to take the time to learn how to use shorthand in your research process. Things like the fleeting notes would be an excellent use for shorthand, where you just quickly need to jot down the information, and then you're going to flesh it out and expand on it when it comes time to do the permanent notes. But this right here, where I'm just demonstrating a skill acquisition as part of my journey in academics, it still is good to take a break. So we've gone for a nice long session, about 3 hours, and so I'm going to take a break, and then I will be back a little bit later to do some more just in a few minutes. So I hope you're having a good day, and I will see you shortly. Adios.